Hey everybody, Brian here, back with the games I finished in January and February of 2020. Have quite a few here I got through, so I just thought I'd do it different. I'd put them a stack and kind of remove the game from the top as I go. So it's kind of like more surprising and it's a little different, maybe more exciting. Have an NES stack here we'll start with. Then we have a Genesis and a Game Boy Advance game up here, but we'll start with the NES here. These are in no particular order. We have Guerrilla War. Here we go. And Guerrilla War is a very fair, fun, action-packed game from SNK. Basically, think of Akari Warriors, but it's good. You have unlimited continues, and you always start where you die. So it's very fair. Everybody can get through it. It's two-player co-op, and even one player, it's very fun. Lots of great weapons. There's a lot of chaos going on the screen. It's pure gameplay from beginning to end. You're always moving, firing, shooting. It's just very fun. I think you're supposed to be like Fidel Castro and that other dictator, Che Guevara, from what I hear. If you can see the box art there. I think it was an arcade game too, but it's very, very fun. I recommend it if you have a friend to play with. I think it would be even more fun. I played it single player, and I think I played it once before with a friend and beat it maybe 10 years ago, 9 years ago now. But I felt like playing it again. It's very fun. Very, very action-packed too. Next up here we have Kickle Keybickle, or Kickle Keybickle, however you want to say it. This is a puzzle game by IRM. I think it was in the arcades as well. Let me focus the camera. There we go. Basically, you're this like little white, or this little white guy, like a snowball guy, and you can make ice pillars to stop enemies and obstacles, and turn these certain blob enemies into ice cubes that you kick, hence the kickle, to make bridges across water. So you make an ice cube and kick them across water to make a bridge, and you have to collect the three, however many items there are on the screen to clear to the next level. And it starts off pretty easy. It gets more and more, they throw more and more things at you. Like obstacles, like for instance, you kick one against the spring and it'll shoot it back and forth. Or you click one against a hammer, it'll swing the hammer the other way and hit it the other way, hit the block the other way, the hammer will come around and hit it the other way. I think there's 5 worlds and about 12 or so levels each, and beating that is a challenge. And then once you do that, you get the ending. And then there's a special world, which I played 1 or 2 of those worlds, and they ramp up the difficulty substantially. So I didn't go through those, but I have a password written down, and if I want to, I can come back. But just for those 2 worlds, it's very, very tough. After that, I think you get another ending. So maybe someday I'll go back and beat those worlds. But I was kind of getting tired of it. There was enough, I think, in the base game to keep you occupied. And it's very fun. Very fun. Next up, we have Heavy Barrel here. This is another top-down shooter. This is Data East, another arcade port. Basically, this is 2-player co-op as well. So you go through and you beat these red color soldiers, and they drop keys to open these chests. And in the chests, there's a certain item. So when you play through, you kind of memorize what chest you want to open. It could be one of a few weapons. You have like a spread gun. You have like and some other. I forget the other weapons. Spread gun's good. Like a fire launcher and 2 other weapons, and then there's also grenades, different grenades you can get, and you can get pieces of a heavy barrel. I think there's 5 pieces of it, and when you assemble all 5, a voice acting comes on and says heavy barrel, and then you have like a minute or so to use this heavy barrel that just annihilates everything on the screen. It's this big cannon. And if you're lucky enough and you know where to get it, you can go into a boss fight with it and just annihilate the bosses. It's not a very long game. It is challenging, but once you realize where everything is, you can beat it. I think I beat this in around 6 or 7 playthroughs once I learned where everything was. And then after that, I went through it again and went through much faster. Like a lot of NES games, they're hard but fair. I wouldn't say fair. I would say hard, but once you learn how to play it on its terms and where everything is, it's very easy to beat. But when you first play, you're going to get annihilated. But once you learn the gameplay of it, it's very fun. I haven't played it two-player co-op, but it's very, very fun, fast-paced. The graphics aren't anything special. The music's great. I like the music. It is very fun, though. Heavy Barrel. It's a cheap game, too. Heavy Barrel, I think, and Guerrilla War are very cheap to pick up. I highly recommend both of them if you want pure action shooting games. Here's a beat 'em up. This is POW on the NES, another SNK game, much like Guerrilla War. This is a beat 'em up, like Double Dragon. Only I kind of think this one is a little less janky than Double Dragon. And I wouldn't say Double Dragon is janky. It's just this is more. There's not as many moves, but it's very challenging and very short too. So the main thing in this game is you purposely get caught so you can escape a POW camp to infiltrate it and destroy the dictator at the end, or the leader at the end. So that's kind of funny. So you have a punch, you have a kick, and you have a back attack, like back punch. And then you can get weapons like brass knuckles, which increase this power of your fists, and you can get a gun, and you can get a bulletproof vest. So the way you get these is you go into certain doors or open areas, and you beat a set number of enemies, and then it'll drop the item. So it's not a very long game, like I said, but it is very difficult at first, until you learn where everything's at, and then it gets much easier. So the first time going through this, it took me a while, maybe 7 or so playthroughs until I learned everything. And then once I did that, I beat the game, and I started another game right back up, and I was able to complete it again with only using one continue, because you do get unlimited continues. It starts you right back at the beginning of the stage. But that second playthrough, I was able to get through by just 1 or 2 continues, much faster. But much like I said on Heavy Barrel, NES games are challenging, but they're short. And once you get the hook of them and the gameplay, you can blast through them. And there's something about really playing a game and learning an NES game that is very, very satisfying, because they're short enough that you can really get the ropes of them and not master them, but get very good at them and blow through them. And what took hours before, you can get through it in like 30, 40 minutes. And POW, I think, is one of the more better beat-em-ups on the NES. It's up there with Double Dragon and what other beat-em? Double Dragon 2. What other ones? River City Ransom. I haven't played a lot. What other beat-em-ups are there on the NES? Mighty Final Fight I played, and I liked that. I like that a little, but I think POW is right up there with them. It's a cheap cartridge as well. Heavy Barrel, Guerrilla War, and POW are all good, cheap games you can get and play. Next up, we have Super Spy Hunter. I kind of wanted to play some shooters, and I haven't played a lot of shooters in my life. This is Super Spy Hunter is a very late NES release. I think it was 1990 or even 91 maybe. But it's by Sunsoft, so the music's excellent. It has a typical Sunsoft bass. The graphics are outstanding. There's some scrolling going on. It almost looks like mode 7 and 8-bit. It's very fast-paced. And so how this works is you're a car, and you shoot these other weapon cars that cycle between letters of weapons. So you have the time where you hit them to get the one that you want, and then it'll fly out, and you got to move to it and catch it. That is a huge mechanic to learn, because you want to get the timing down of when it'll destroy it, and then avoid the obstacles to get the certain items. So you get a P item, which powers up your car up to 4 or 5 times, and your car distinctively gets bigger and a different color. And once it's on the max, it shoots these huge balls out, and you have these top-mounted cannons that you can manually switch with the A button, and it'll like go out in 45-degree increments all around your car, and you can manually like switch it around to swing to hit cars behind you or above you. And so what you want to kind of do is kind of have your thumb over B or A while you hit B to fire. And there's also, another power up from the car that you shoot is a automatic one, which will automatically do that for you against like an auto targeting, which is very good to have. There's one that increases, you start off with 4 things of life. You can increase that by getting an L1 icon that increases 4 more, then 4 more. So you can get up to 12, I think. So you want to do that. And there's also a rapid fire, which increases the fire rate, so you want to do that. And you want to do that especially on the last boss, because this game kicks up the difficulty on the final boss, where you have to have, pretty much I had to have to beat him, the full firepower and a rapid shot. And you kind of want your life too, so you have to get very good at the boss before the final boss. But they do give you the power-ups, so it's fair. Once you get good, they give you the power-ups and you can do it. But that final boss in this game is very tough. It took me a long time, but once I did it, I was hugely satisfied. And then I went through the game right again, and I was able to beat it again with only a few continues, like I said, on POW. And it's an NES game that's, once you play, you get in the groove. It's very addicting, very fun. The graphics are excellent. The music's excellent. The gameplay is fun. There's parts in it where you turn into a boat, which are my least favorite parts, but it does break up. There's only one part that you turn into a boat. I kind of found out that if you hug the side of that boat section, you can go up without getting hit, because you got to avoid these vines, so I just went to the left and went up. You turn into a plane, and the plane section's great, but it's the one of the toughest sections other than the final boss, because there's no checkpoint in between. It's this long gauntlet of just a shoot-'em-up stage, and I'm not great at shoot-'em-ups, but to get through it, and then you have a nice boss fight at the end. So Super Spy Hunter, if you can get a chance to play this and you like shooters, or not even play a lot of shooters like me, I think it's very fun and approachable, because it's not very long, and once you get semi-decent at it like I was, you can beat it, and it's very satisfying. Next up, I wanted to play some platformer action, so I played Adventure Island 2. I have only ever beat Super Adventure Island and Super Adventure Island 2. Adventure Island 2, my friend Brett had when we were growing up, and I remember playing when I go over to his house. It had I remember the dinosaurs in it, so I kind of wanted to play this one and beat it. It's much easier than the first one, I think. You get I think the Hudson B continue code right from the start, so you got unlimited continues. It did get challenging near the mid-sections. I would say the one volcano section was very hard for me. I was kind of getting frustrated, but I did persevere through that. If you haven't played an Adventure Island, it almost wants you to speed run the game, because your life bar at the top constantly ticks down, and it can only be replenished by eating fruit. So you have to go fast to get to the fruit to eat it. So you have to kind of rush all the time, and that was a lot of my deaths came into from rushing. That's no different than the first game. What is different is you can get dinosaur buddies. There's a purple one that shoots fire from his tail, one that shoots fire from his mouth. The pterodactyl, which flies, and you can go drop these rocks on enemies. And there's a plesiosaurus that swims, almost like a frog suit for underwater, from Super Mario Bros. 3 for the underwater levels. And if you get another one in the stage, it'll take the one you had and put it in a bank, and it's a menu, an item bank like Super Mario Bros. 3. At the end of the level, when you start a new level, it has it. You can start with 5 of each dinosaur, 5 of each weapon. There's an axe. You can bank 2, and at the beginning of the next stage, you can pick which dinosaur and which weapon you want to use, which is very nice. I got into a little trouble because I think there was something where no, I'm mistaken. You have to find the, there was something I did do that I ran into trouble. At the very first start of the game, you have to find the Hudson Bee, I think, and he allows you to continue with your banked items. If you don't, you lose all those banked items. So I did not find the bee at the beginning, and it made my playthrough a lot harder because every time I need to continue, it would take all the items, the dinosaurs I had saved for the other levels, and it would erase them. I would have nothing, so I'd have to start those levels from scratch. So that made it a lot harder. So my advice for you if you play this is find the Hudson Bee so you can continue with all your items. And that is in the, I want to say, second level of the game. If you look, you'll find it. I just was not very observant for some reason because it was very easy to find. Adventure Island 2 is the only NES one I have beat. I was going to play Adventure Island 3. That's the next one I'm going to play, but I'm going to wait a little bit before I finish that one because I was playing it and it's a lot like the second one, and I kind of wanted to space them out a little bit. But that one seems good too. Next up, I was talking about shooters. I beat Super Spy Hunter. I wanted to do another one, so I decided to pick this one. You don't hear a lot about this. This is a very early Capcom NES game. I think it was their first or second one actually internally developed by Capcom for the NES. I think this might have been the first one that they actually didn't license out or sub out to, like, for example, Ghouls and Ghosts was Micronix, and this is actually them. It's Section Z. It's a port of the arcade game, which I haven't played. So this is a shooter with very unique mechanics in that you get unlimited continues, but you have to get to certain sections to start when you continue. Otherwise, you'll be sent back to the beginning of... It's broken up into like there's like 40 or 50 sections. You got to get to the first 20 to start your adventure there when you die, and then you get to your next 20 and so on, up to Section Z, which is up to quadrant, like, each section has like 20 or so levels in it, or screens. So it's almost like a Metroid game, but you can almost purposely go to different screens, and once you know the way, you have to use those screens to go the quickest way to the gate boss, to beat the gate boss, to get an item to go to the next section, to then continue again from the next section. It's hard, that doesn't really make any sense, but once you play it, you'll be like, if you play it like a regular shooter, it's going to confuse you, because you have to kind of, okay, when you first start, it says Sector 1, and then you go to the next one, Sector 2, and so you have to make a map and know, okay, if I go from Sector A, I go up, I go to this one, and then I go down, I go to this one. So you got to keep going and dying and figuring out where to go and make a map of the place to go. I still have my map I made here of it. So if I play it again, so you see, if this kind of makes sense, can't really see, but I have Section 2, I have Section 6 flash bombs. So I have written flash bombs are here in this section, and I have Section 0 go down to Section 1, go up to Section 3, down to Section 4. So this helps you when you replay it, like, you know, okay, when I get to a gate, I can go down and I go to this place, and you know, okay, if I can go the quickest way to get to the boss by going through these different directions. So it's kind of Metroid-y exploration in that point. There's no map. The items are, what are the items? You can get like a flash bomb, and they're kind of weird. Like you hit the A button to, or I forget how it is. I didn't really use the special items a lot, but I did use the different, like firepower. There's like a spread one, a barrier, which is very important against bosses. That'll provide a barrier to protect you, and and what else is there? There's like a fire weapon. I forget. It was only a month ago, but I forget all the weapons. But they'd appear by these certain like enemies types that you'd have to find and shoot. It's very hard to explain this game. It wasn't anything. It was frustrating, but I kept coming back to it and thinking about it. And I don't know. I just really enjoyed it, and it took me a while to beat it. Once I mapped it out, though, I was able to. It is a shooter, but it's very exploration-like, which is why I kind of liked it. It's interesting. Yeah, I'll give it that. Next up is, this is Mylon's Secret Castle. I think I played this when I was growing up. I don't remember renting it, but maybe I didn't play it. But I remember maybe I played it afterwards on an emulator. But I remember either seeing it or um, trying it out and not knowing what to do. But I kind of wanted to try it, give it a shot, because I did have it, and I read the instruction manual first. And if you do play this game, you want to read the instruction manual first, because it does explain the game in the manual. So the object of the game, this is a very cryptic game. There's only one castle, and the object of the game, your mission is to help Mylon solve the mysteries of the secret castle, destroy the evil warlords and his demon monsters, rescue Queen Eliza and the musical instruments for the people of Hudson. Good luck. So basically what the game entails is you go into a room, and once you're in the room, there's a set number of things in the room you want to find. There's a honeycomb piece, which increases your life by 1 or 2. You want to find that. And there's a shop that you want to find to buy items that let you progress further. So you want to find those 2 things. Once you figure out that those 2 things are always in a room, it makes the game a lot more, okay, I understand what's going on. So you want to collect money to buy items to find the next area of the castle. What's cryptic about it is these things are not out in the open. You have to shoot your weapon, which is bubbles, against items to make it appear. So you basically just have to shoot everything. And there is points in the game where you have to shoot an item and push it against another thing to make it appear. And while it is cryptic, I think it does explain in the game about how to do it. Yeah, it says, Mylon's weapon is bubbles. Use the bubbles to destroy demon characters and to find the coins and helpful items hidden in Queen Elizabeth's castle. By shooting blocks with your bubbles, you will find many items. Coins, honeycomb bees, and Hudson bee. The Hudson bee makes you invincible for a brief period of time. There's also an umbrella, which increases your rate of fire, which you'll probably want against bosses. And it tells an instruction manual. So the purpose is you want to enter the maze room, collect money and helpful items, find the shops, and get the items. Sorry, I'm just reading the manual to see if it kind of explains this, because I think I read this and I watched a quick video by the Renaissance, who's on YouTube. He was playing it, and he explained about what was in the items, so that helped out too. And once I knew those things, the game was a lot more palatable. Once I understood what was going on in the game, and it became quite enjoyable. I would say if you're kind of on the fence about this game and you heard bad things about it, it's warranted. It's very cryptic, but the cryptic stuff on it makes sense once you learn the set way the game is. And once you do learn that, the game became very fun for me and very addictive. And yeah, it was very fun and very enjoyable. And it's probably on, I'm not as afraid of it as I was, because I actually beat it, and I can recommend it if you're willing to put in the time to learn how it plays. I think you'll enjoy it too, if you like platformers. That was the NES games I beat. So we'll go on to the one Game Boy game I have here, and this is the Sword of Hope. This is an RPG in the look of Shadowgate for the Super Nintendo. It is by Kemco, I think. Yeah, Kemco, who actually made Shadowgate, so it has that look of a screen where you see in front of you, and you have items like move and stuff, or menus like move and stuff. I was enjoying this game a lot until I got to one point in the game. I looked up a guide because I was stuck, and it's a good thing I did, because I found out if you actually do a puzzle wrong in this game, you cannot do it again, and you're locked out of your game. You cannot finish it. Had I not looked into a guide before that, I would have been running around in circles and not realizing that I locked myself out and I could not complete the game. So I don't like it. That's a big no-no for me, and I take huge points off of it for that. So my advice for you, if you do play this game, is look up a guide so you know what part I'm talking about. You'll kind of understand once you play it, where it involves a fairy and a quiz. Other than that, it was very turn-based combat. It wasn't great. I'm glad I finished it, but I don't think I'll play it through it again anytime soon. But I wanted to play through like a Shadowgate style RPG. We'll go into this game. I've always wanted to play this. This is Final Fantasy V. My history with Final Fantasy series is I remember seeing the strategy guide of Final Fantasy I, being passed around with the Super Mario Brothers, or with the Super Mario Brothers 3 issue of Nintendo Power in like 4th grade. And I remember my friend played it, and my other friend actually beat it. But I haven't had much experience on the first Final Fantasy. I played the second one for the Super Nintendo, which is the fourth one. I really love that game. I played the sixth one, or the third one on the Super Nintendo, which is actually the sixth one in the sixth game in the series. I like that game a lot. But the fifth one, I have never played. So the fifth one came out in Japan only. Then in 2000 and what year? Around the Game Boy Advance era. It says 2007 something. I'm gonna say maybe mid 2000s, late 2000s. It came out for the Game Boy Advance. So this is a new localization. It was also before it came out officially in the West. It was actually fan patched here, so you could play it with a kind of weird localization. Not weird, but different localization. This has an all-new localization for the West. And it's very job-based, and I didn't know how I'd feel about that, because I tried to play it before, and it never really grabbed me. So when you play this game, you got to play it different. Don't think of it as a typical Final Fantasy game. It is, but it isn't. You want to really mess around with jobs in this game. That can be either a good thing or a bad thing. I'm kind of lukewarm on it. When I was playing the game, I was mastering the typical jobs, and I kept running into problems with it, and I'd have to, especially near the end game, I had to learn a certain move that lets you attack, like, oh boy, 4 or 5 times in a row. And once I learned that, it kind of just broke the game. I just learned, I had all my other characters learn that too. And I'm glad I played this game. It's not my favorite of the Final Fantasies, but I'm glad I finally finished it. And it's the most customizable, I think. If you want to go through again and play with different job classes, you can do that. There's a lot of them. I won't get into all of them, but some of them I didn't even use, like the chemist, which I heard is very good. In the time, some of my favorites, I like the mages, so I had everybody learn white magic and black magic, and that helped a lot. The thief learns that X attack one, the quad attack or whatever, which is very good. Final Fantasy V, the story is kind of cool, but it's not as good as other Final Fantasies. But there's parts in it that are good. The characters, they have their moments. Galuf, what's her name? Bartz, Galuf, Lena, and Ferris are your main characters. You do get another one, but I won't spoil about that. There's a very cool moment in the game that's kind of nice, not nice, but kind of sad. Yeah, it's a good Final Fantasy game. I understand why we didn't get it playing it now here in the US. It's very advanced. I think it's a harder one of the hardest Final Fantasies I've ever played, because it took me a while to learn how the game wanted me to play it. Okay, let's get into Genesis games. I have here Ranger X. This is a game I played, and I didn't know how to play it. How it works is you have a main character and another character that you can jump in and ride, like a little bot machine. You can control both of them at the same time, and you can do so with a 6-button controller only. So if you have a 6-button controller, you can use X, Y, and Z buttons to move the little character, the tank button buddy you're in, and you move your main other character with your directional pad. Once you learn how to play it, it's very addicting. The graphics are great, the sound's great, it's very, very fun. I don't remember a lot about the weapons, but there are a lot of cool weapons in it. And you want to get the certain weapons at certain times to make the game more manageable. The stages, there's cool stages like a huge skyscraper you go to ascend. There's a forest where you can go above the have to go above the trees to charge your energy and your gun energy back up. And it's cool, like the canopy's dark and up above is real bright. There's a cool change of like lighting effect. There's a cave where you got to shoot up holes in the ceiling to charge your enemy energy, because your guns work on power of light, so you have to always put it in light to charge them. It's very fun. I always thought it was one of those games that was too hard until I started playing it. Much like you could say that about a lot of games. Once you play them, you get better at them. And this is a good one. I like this game a lot. It's like a shooter, basically. Another shooter. I kind of wanted to play more different games. Genres I never play. And Ranger X is another shooter I can add that I beat. And much like I was talking about NES games getting better at them, once you beat this game, you can go through it again and and slash your time of how you beat it before. And it's very accomplishing to beat a game that used to take hours and hours, maybe even days, and beat it with a 45 an hour time. Monster Boy, Wonder Boy, and Monster World for the Genesis. This game's great. I beat Monster Boy in the Cursed Kingdom for the Switch is a fantastic game. This is a lot like it. This is a Wonder Boy game, which the original Wonder Boy is actually what Adventure Island is. It's just, long story short, Hudson ported the original Wonder Boy to the NES as Adventure Island, but they couldn't use the name Wonder Boy, so they called it Adventure Island. This game plays a lot like I should say the Switch game Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom plays a lot like this game. Basically, it's a side-scrolling platformer. You get items, you go along, and with great music, great graphics, you go along, beat enemies, then they shoot up gold. You get the gold to buy items, better equipment, to get farther, to get items to go to different levels. Like Metroid, you explore a map, and everything's like interconnected, things are interconnected. It's very fun. There's also the fourth game, which we got on the Virtual Console. I want to say Wonder Boy 4. It stars a girl protagonist. I kind of want to play that one next. I think I'll play that this month or in the coming months. So now I beat this one. I also beat the Dragon's Trap, which is the remake on the Switch, which is cool. I really like that. And then Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, which I loved. This has got me curious on the other games, and I'm going to play the one on the Wii, Monster Boy 4, next. Next up, we have Valis 3. This is the first game in the Valis series I ever beat. It's by Renovation, which ported a lot of cool games over here, or brought a lot of games over here. For the Genesis, it's very slow-moving, but it's very... if you like side-scrolling platformers like Castlevania, it's like that, but a lot slower. You start as a girl protagonist, and there's this cool scene where she's... I don't know the story because this is the third one, but she jumps off the skyscraper and grabs a sword, and she's flying down, and she grabs a sword, and then the adventure starts. So I didn't know any of the characters, but the gameplay was fun, albeit a little slow. It makes me curious because there's this whole lore, which I'm not familiar with, but Valis 3, that's the first one I ever beat, and I think Super Valis 4 is on the Switch, which I kind of want to play that one. I played a little bit of it, and I could see it being kind of fun. after I playing this one, I saw similarities, so I kind of want to play that one. It's on the Switch Nintendo Online service, I think. Next, we have another early Genesis game, Mystic Defender. As you can see, it's a grid Genesis game. This is a fun game, very challenging, especially one part in the lava area, of course. You have different spells you can use, and knowing which spell to use at the right time helps use it tremendously. The last boss is challenging, but once you learn how to beat him, like most games, it's a lot more manageable. It took me a few times to beat it. Very fun, not great, but very good game. This game I love. This is Kadash on the Genesis, a port of an arcade game. It was also ported to the TurboGrafx. The TurboGrafx version has all the characters, all 4 characters. This one only has 2, the wizard and the warrior. The warrior, obviously, stronger, attacks, more defense. The wizard can attack from distance and with magic. So when you first play this game, the thing I can recommend you the most is level up, level up, level up. Because you have limited lives, and you'll want to get as strong as possible to take more hits to kill stuff quicker. So I would recommend going out to the main area of the first, before you go anywhere, leveling up at least to level 6, something like that. And then from there, the game's a lot more manageable. It seems a lot bigger than it is because the game seems more bigger in scope, but once you play it, it's very short. But it's very addictive. The loop in it is go to a town, get a better item, go to a dungeon, beat a boss, go to a town, go to a better item, dungeon, boss, repeat, so forth, like 5 or 6 times. And between that, your main portion will be grinding. I like to grind between main levels to make the game easier. Very fun game. I really like this one a lot. That's the Genesis ones I beat there. Next up, we have my first Ys game I ever beat. This is Wanderers from Ys 3. This is the 3rd Ys game. I'll have a little more to talk about Ys next month, as you'll see that. But this is the first one I beat. I like this one a lot. It's nothing special, but it is fun and addictive, much like Kadash. I spent a lot of time leveling up. And it has a loop of similar. Go to a town. There's only one town, but you go there, find out the story, go to a cave, find out this missing person, get better items, find items, go further, rinse and repeat, level up, get stronger, so on and so forth. The music is excellent in this game. It made pushing through it a lot more fun. Not saying it, but I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying the music enhanced it, I should say. The graphics were very early Super Nintendo, because this is early Super Nintendo. Very good for that. Kind of small, but it was decent. You play as Adal, and there's this guy who you got to come into his hometown, Doggy, and I think that's him on the cover here. Adal is the warrior there, holding up the sword. And you learn about this hero, and I think eventually you go through and learn about him. I think you get his weapons, and you fight a bad guy. Nothing spectacular, but it is very fun. It's a very short game. It took me a day to beat. That's good. I like short, fun games. They don't overstay their welcome. Next up, another platform, and this is Chester Cheetah's Wild Wild Quest. This game, I can say about it, it looks great. The hit detection's kind of wonky. The continue system's weird. You can get extra lives in levels, but they only keep for that level. So if you go to a level and get like 9 extra lives, once you're done with that, that's just for that level. So once you're done, you lose them and you start with 3 again, 3 or 2. You get continues. I can never get this to work. At the end of the game, if you got enough Cheeto paws and Cheeto, you get, because the Cheeto paws just came out when this game was released. If you don't remember that, or never heard about it, they're Cheetos, but they were in the shape of a cat paw, or tiger paw, or whatever he is, Chester Cheetah. And if you got 100, you were supposed to be able to get an extra continue, but that never worked for me. There's times I got 100, I never got an extra continue. I think the slot machines at the end of the game levels, if you matched up 3 of 4, something, you get an extra continue, because I could never judge how to earn extra continues. It would just happen randomly. Because of that, I had to play through the game a few times. Basically, you go across America to different places, and typical platformer. The thing that holds it back is the hit detection's wonky. and if you don't get the continues, it's kind of hard. But if you do get the continues and learn hit detection, it's kind of enjoyable. Nothing special, though. Next up is Shadowrun. This is a game I'm glad I played, but I don't think I'll play it again. It has great music, but great atmosphere. The combat's kind of meh. You kind of hit A button and your cursor will come up and you're stationary and you move it against the enemy and you hit A again and it'll shoot, and depending on your level and your skill that you raise from karma points, if you put it into firearm, you'll hit them or you won't. And so you want to, when you start this game, you want to go in and out of certain rooms, beat enemies, get karma, go to bed, sleep, and raise your firepower and your life, get that up, and then you can continue the game. I did get stuck went as far as I could, and I had to look up what to do. I'm glad I did, because I wouldn't have figured it out. But, I mean, once you do that, it's an okay game. Nothing great. I do like the setting of it, in a kind of a torn-down cyberpunk kind of Seattle. And the music, I can say enough about that. Very good. And I like the setting a lot. But other than that, kind of some cryptic things that you really have to think about. And even if you do think, you kind of miss the obvious stuff that kind of... Like, there was a point you had to fight a vampire that was kind of tricky. I didn't... once you beat him, you had to use an item, then use it again, then use it again, I think 3 times to actually progress the story. And there were some other parts during the docks where I got kind of confused. But other than being cryptic, it was okay. Nothing great. And there's a Genesis version that I haven't played. It's kind of different. I shouldn't say nothing great. It is a fun game. I don't want to shrug it off. I want to say if you play it, you'll find out if you think it's great or not. This is Artie Lightfoot, another platformer. This one looks great. It plays great. It sounds good. It's very average, but it's pretty fun. Nothing too challenging. You can get lives, so it's nothing that too challenging to hit detections. It's just fine. It's nothing like the best platformers. It's nothing like the worst platformers. It's better than Chester Cheetah. Not as great as the top tier Super Nintendo platformers, but it's fun. Next up here, so that's Super Nintendo. Get some more modern games here. I got this for Christmas from my sister. Thanks to my sister for this. This is new Super Lucky's Tale. This is a 3D platformer that was originally Super Lucky's Tale on the Xbox One. I think it was in VR. No, it was actually not on the... It was on the Xbox One, but before that it was a VR Oculus game. It was ported to the Xbox One and then ported to the Switch with additional features to improve it. I played that version. It's very fun, very colorful, sounds good, plays great. I like the character. The fox is very fun to play as. Very easy, but that's good. Very chill game. I think I beat it in 10 hours. I got everything but a costume. It's a very relaxing game to play. It's challenging enough to keep you engrossed, but not too challenging to get you like really into the game and really like focusing. Like, oh my god, I got to do this, and get frustrated. It's fun. Next up, I beat this game before, but this is actually the Wii. I beat it before digitally when it came out. This is the actual physical version, which I beat. This is Axiom Verge. It's a Metroid game, very much like Metroid, where it's a large open world. You get items to go further, and there's a ton of weapons. I think I got 12 or so, but there's a whole bunch more. There's over 20. I think the map says I'm up to 70 or 80% of the map. No, 90-some% of the map and 70-some% of the items. And it's huge. I'm probably never going to 100% it, but it's very fun. The story is not great. I should say the story is great if you want it to be. Not great if you just don't pay attention to it. So you can either follow it or do like I do and not pay attention to it. There's cool, there's this drill you have that you can drill into walls. It's very fun to use. It makes that satisfying noise against when it hits something. A grapple hook, which is very fun to use. There's this pixel distorter, which you shoot it against certain enemies. It'll make them, or walls, it'll make them distort like they're glitching, and you can progress. The weapons are fun to use. The gameplay is fun. It's addictive to find things. It was made by one guy, Thomas Happ. He also did the music. It took him years to do. I think it came out in 2015 finally. And the sequel's in the work. He's working his butt off probably on that. It's amazing this was done by one guy because it feels like it was done by a whole bunch of other people. I highly recommend it if you like a Metroid game, like games, adventure games, games where you just unlock a huge map and feel like you get stronger. Axiom Verge is a fun one. Next up, I got the last a whole bunch of Wii U games here. Game and Wario. This is basically, they took a whole bunch of Wii U gamepad games that were shown, or they had it in their minds, and they put a Wario story in it with the Wario characters. So you have Wario, you'll have Cat Nana, you have Ashley, you have 9-Volt and his friends, you have Friend, you have, I forget the other people, but there's a whole story in it. I don't remember a lot about it, but the games, there's some that are fun, some that are not as fun as the other ones, in my opinion. Not very long. I mean, there's, I think, 4, 8, 12 or 16 games, I think. Some standouts were, I really like the Ashley one where you're a witch and you can loop and collect the items. There's like 2 stages of that. There's a ski one, which I wasn't great at. There's ones that use the Wii U pad as a camera finder. You hold it up the screen to find certain things. It's like a find the hidden item with the camera. Let's see. So it uses the gamepad in cool ways. There's one that has, so the original WarioWare games, there's one like that, but there's a twist on it where you can play that one without this twist, or with 9-Volt's buddy, or if you play as 9-Volt, you're in bed playing like a Game Boy, and you're playing that game, the Wario. So imagine playing WarioWare, but you always have to keep an eye out on your mom coming in, not 9-Volt's mom, and when you think she's going to come in, you have to hit the shoulder button or one of the buttons, and he'll hide in his bed so she thinks she's asleep. So I was doing terrible on it because I could never time when to hide, because the game keeps playing. The Wario keeps playing while you do this, so you always have to keep an eye on the game and an eye on your mom to make sure you don't get caught. Yeah, it's a whole bunch of mini games. It's kind of cool. Some I like better than others. There is some Miiverse stuff, which I wish I would have played earlier when Miiverse was around. I think it interacted with Miiverse a little bit. It's worth trying out if you like mini games that utilize the Wii U. This is Shovel Knight. I wanted to play King of Cards, which was the last Shovel Knight expansion. So I played Shovel Knight on the 3DS, and I played the second expansion, Plague of Shadows, I beat Shovel Knight on the 3DS, beat Plague of Shadows on the 3DS, then I beat Spectre Knight on the 3DS. So that's the first 3. I never played King of Cards, and I wanted to play the Wii. I had the Wii U out, and I wanted to play it on the Wii U, so I never beat Shovel Knight on the Wii U. So I beat Shovel Knight on the Wii U, and then I also had, since I bought Shovel Knight, I had access to all the expansions: Plague Knight, Spectre Knight, and King of Cards. So after that, for free, I got King of Cards, which is awesome by Yacht Club, and I beat King of Cards. So basically, King of Cards, you play as King Knight, which is right here. And his campaign was the best out of all the Shovel Knight games, I think. Basically, he can shoulder dash, and once he like Wario. So once you shoulder dash into an enemy, you can spin up in the air, and then you like spin, and you can defeat enemies, bounce off them, and you can do another shoulder dash. So the gameplay loop of jumping, shouldering into an enemy, jumping, shouldering in, and you can keep going indefinitely as long as there's enemies and things to hit. Very fun how they use the level design. I love the level design. I love controlling King Knight. The only thing I didn't like was the card game. There's like a card mini game called Joustus, but I hate don't like card mini games in I wouldn't say hate, but I don't like them in games, I find. So I just ignored it, and thankfully you can ignore it altogether and still beat the game and have a fun time. So I also beat, after I beat Shovel Knight for Wii U, still fun. King of Cards I liked even more. If I had to rank them, I would say King of Cards is number 1. Oh boy, Spectre Knight I think be number 2 because I'm playing that. I was playing that a little bit more, and then Shovel Knight number 3, and then Plague Knight number 4. They're all fun, and Yacht Club Games put their heart and a lot of money and time into developing these 4 games for a long time, and the fact that I bought it on Wii U and I was able to get the 3 other expansions is just awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you to Yacht Club. And Shovel Knight, if you haven't played it, you can get the Treasure Trove. I think it's real cheap. And when Treasure Trove came out, they actually renamed it Shovel Knight, and they put like a Shovel of Justice or whatever, and like subtitles after them. This one's just called Shovel Knight. Before they added the Shovel of Justice title. Next up, we have Mighty Number 9. I kind of wanted to play a Mega Man game. This game had an infamous development. I did kickstart it, and I haven't got around to playing it until right now for some reason. I think part of it because I heard the game was bad, so I kind of thought, well, I don't really need to play that right away. I kept putting it off. I finally played it, and I gotta say it's pretty good. It's not great, not bad, not fantastic, but it's good. Maybe above average. Plays much like a Mega Man game, only the main mechanic is you basically shoot an enemy until they're weak. They get this like purple thing around them. Then you dash into them, and you'll get like fill up a meter. And then once that's filled, you'll get like adding to your speed, your defense, and your power. And you want to keep that going. So you want to shoot enemies and dash into them, and it's very fun to chain together. The levels were well designed, very not great looking, but they were fun to traverse. The bosses were fun to fight. There was some challenge in it. I had to fight a few, especially near the end boss. Took me a long time to beat. Very satisfying, like a Mega Man game. The voice acting I could have done without. It was kind of annoying at times. It doesn't look the best. There was lots of slowdown, especially during the one fight in the fire area. But I gotta say, I was impressed with this game. I kind of enjoyed it. I was expecting, oh boy, this is not going to be good. But I went into it and I thought, maybe this is not playing it right away. But I'd say it's pretty good. If you didn't know the whole story behind it, I think if you bought this for $10 or whatever, you get your money's worth out of it. It's fun. Next up, we have Sonic Lost World. This is the first 3D Sonic game I ever beat. Took me a while to understand how to play it because I wanted to explore the levels, and that's my problem with Sonic. I wanted to explore, and I never felt like I could. I always had to run, and then I hit spikes. That's very much the similar vein, so they nailed that. When I played this, I wanted to explore. Then I figured, heck with it. I'm just going to run and react. And once I did that, I found I had a lot more fun with it. Basically, you have this homing mechanic. You can jump up, and then you home, and you see targets on enemies. And you can keep bouncing into them. You also have this bounce off an enemy and jump real high. So it's very colorful, very good looking. I wouldn't say I love it, but I wouldn't say I hate it either. I beat it all one day. It was addicting enough to keep coming back to it that day and beating it. The last boss was tough for me. But yeah, it was okay. I was expecting the worst, much like Mighty Number 9, but yeah, it was pretty fun. Next up, I wanted to play more platformers. We have Clonoa. This is a remake of the PS1 game, which I never played. Basically, Clonoa right here. That little cat guy. And you have Pew Pew, or whatever his name is, this little ring guy that you throw into enemies, and you can pick up enemies. And then once you have them, you can jump and do a double jump. Sounds great, looks great, plays great. Very chill, enough challenge to it to keep you engaged. More challenging than Super Lucky's Tale. But much like that game, it's very chill just to put on and play. And there's a sequel which I'd like to play. So I beat this one, and I beat Clonoa, Door to the Phantom Isle, or the Empire of Dreams on the Game Boy Advance, which I liked. And there's also another one for the Game Boy Advance I have, which I'd like to play. But I do, after playing this one, I kind of want to play the sequel. It's on PS2. I'd like to find a copy of that. Next up, we have for the GameCube I Ninja. This is a 3D platformer where you're a ninja, a little mini chibi ninja. The combat's nothing special, just slash slash. You learn a few special moves and you can attach. But the platforming's fun. Basically, you go through the area and you collect or you do certain challenges and get certain, almost like stars, but you get those things in the level, and you can unlock more worlds and go further and further, and you need so many to get to the last boss. So the only thing bad about this game is to get enough, you raise in, once you get enough of those ninja ranks, you get a new belt. So you had to have black belt to be good at the last boss. So to get that, I had to replay a lot of the levels, which the way they did that is they reused the levels. So they had you go through the same level again, but this time you had to find all the red coins or red certain items, or you had to hurry up and beat a stage in a certain time. And I don't like that. I don't like when they pad out the levels instead of creating new levels. So a lot of GameCube games did that, or games from this era did that, where you had to go through and do the same level again. Maybe I shouldn't say a lot, but where you have to do the same level again in a certain way to do that. That was the only black mark against that, because I'd rather play new levels than go back and play old levels to progress the story. If I like the game enough, I'll go back and do that. But I didn't feel the need to do that. This is also on Xbox and PlayStation 2, I think, but I did play the GameCube version. So yeah, that is it. That is, put them all here. That is all the games I beat for January and February of 2021. Quite a good few months of games there. Had a lot of fun playing them. Much fun. Of course, if you have any thoughts or anything, I never asked if you have any thoughts on any games, or if I haven't played a game that I might have to play next. Always looking, like, my time in between games is a time where I'm like, what should I play now? Because I have, as a kid, you only have a few games, and you can only play those few games. But as an adult, I have more games than I could ever want. And the time in between games, deciding what to play next, is always the toughest. And I find that I just have to find something, stick it in, and play it. And just keep playing it until it either clicks or I play something else. But I'll always play it enough to at least get a feel for it. And if I really want to keep playing it, I'll play it. And usually 9 times out of 10, I will get hooked on a game and want to finish it. But those other times, I'll either think, did I enjoy this enough to finish it, or do I even want it? And that helps me take those games that I don't like, put aside, and say, I can either sell this for money or trade it in from another game, or at my local game store, or just get rid of it. And I think that helps a lot. Playing these games and stopping buying so many, which I've been doing over the past year, has really opened my eyes to what I like and what I don't like. And I can really tell what I'll like. But also, I like to play other stuff that I have not got around to, or other genres, like shooters. I played a lot of shooters this few months, maybe 3 shooters, and I never play a lot of shooters because I always think they're too hard. But I think that helps to just play. Even if you're not into it right away, just keep playing. And if there's something about it you like, and that's enough to keep you playing, that's good enough to that you're finding some enjoyment in and out of it. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get far enough that you want to beat it, or you get enough enjoyment out of it that's worth it. So thanks everybody for watching this almost hour-long video. Yeah, I'd like to hear what maybe I should play sometime or what you think. So take care, guys. Bye.